Hi, I'm Rachel Werner, and for my social issues project, I chose dealing with death and grief. I chose this topic because I think it's really important that everyone has as many tools and resources available to them to be able to deal with death and grief. Grief can take many forms and is not just associated with death. It can be any sort of change, but I narrowed my topic down because dealing with death is something I've been researching and curious about recently. I've been very fortunate in my life to not have lost anyone close to me, but with the declining health of some of my family members, it has got me thinking about loss a lot lately. It's made me realize how little I've talked or thought about it and how unprepared I feel like I am for it. I know no one can be completely prepared for this sort of thing, but you can try. Why books about coping with death are important. I got my article from my information from the Child Mind Institute. The article talked about how dealing with death is something everyone will face or has faced at some point in their lives. It can be confusing and overwhelming, especially for children when they don't already understand it. Most children are aware of death. It's common in cartoons and television, but experiencing grief firsthand is a different and confusing process. And children don't fully grasp all the emotions and process of coping. So having informational literature that is reliable and educational as an outlet or resource can allow and encourage children to express their feelings and build healthy coping skills. How literature can be used to discuss death and grief with students. Exposing children to books that deal with death and grief can be very beneficial in helping them understand death. Children who understand these four concepts can better prepare to cope with loss. 1, death is irreversible. 2, all life functions end completely at the time of death. 3, everything that is alive eventually dies. And 4, there are physical reasons someone dies. This may all sound very morbid and harsh, but it's important that children understand what is going on. Reading a story and checking in with your students can help them better prepare to cope with loss. You can take these steps to check children's understanding. 1, start by asking what they understand about death. 2, give simple and developmentally appropriate explanations. 3, ask them to explain back what they understand. And 4, correct any misunderstandings and misconceptions. And then I got my information for this from the NAEYC. And then for my first book talk, the first one is Grief is an Elephant by Tamara Ellis Smith and illustrated by Nancy Whitesides. It is a heartfelt book about grief and loss that shows its audience that grief can take many forms and that sometimes grief can be so big it doesn't leave room for anything else. But over time it shrinks and can lead you to a path of loving remembrance. It is a good book at a pre-K through 2nd grade level with beautiful illustrations and a good message that reassures feelings that go along with grief. And then for my second book talk, I chose The Canyon's Edge by Dusty Bowling. It is a gripping survival story about Nora and her father as they are out for a hike in the canyons in the desert. It's Nora's birthday and the 1-year anniversary of her mother's death, so they decide to hike and get back into nature, something they used to enjoy as a family and hope it will be a healing journey. But they get separated and Nora has to make it on her own. This is a book that will keep you on the edge of your seat and is very easy to get into. It's a story about resilience, truly finding out who you are, pushing through physical and emotional pain, and it's very exciting, emotional, and an action-packed book. I highly recommend it. Sorry, went forward too fast. Crying in H Mart is my third book talk for the more middle school, upper level. It is a memoir about grief and cooking by Michelle Zahner. This book is about the deep connection of food and the love between a mother and her child, even through hardships. After Zahner's mother is diagnosed with cancer, their natural roles started to reverse as her mother could no longer take care of herself. This is a very powerful and emotional book that will have you feeling very emotionally wrecked, but it's not just about mother-daughter relationships or food, but also about the exploration of being multicultural. This book will have a strong and meaningful impact on its readers and leaves you with the message of hope and resilience. It's a very good book, but have tissues ready. And then here are some extra resources. or my extra resources page. All right, thank you.